Hey everyone, welcome back to another Spodcast. Even though I tweeted out I wasn't going to do a podcast this weekend because of different things, in the end, John's convinced me to do a very quick 30-minute podcast, just kind of recapping some of the week or so's news and some news that's happened today. And talking about John, there he is. Hey John.
Hey, I figured we had to convince the people, convince you to show the people your new haircut. I mean, we lost the locks finally.
Yeah, we've lost the ponytail. The ponytail is gone. I'm kind of missing it. I'm not missing. Do you know, it's been so weird. I keep wanting to adjust a hairband in my hair or a bobble, and there's just nothing there. Seeing I've had it for about a year, so now I'm back to short and tidy. It's quite nice. Just the grey's coming through perfectly though. I'm getting some real nice grey streaks, so it's all good. It's all good. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, just nod and agree. It's fine. But yeah, we're back. A bit of a slight change, but we have some really good podcasts coming up very soon as well. Next week, we're going to be looking at the new Netflix show Jupiter's Legacy. It is called Jupiter's Legacy, isn't it? Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch it. I've heard very mixed reviews, some positive, some not, so we'll be going in depth on that on Sunday. And then the Sunday after that, we will be doing a Lucifer preview podcast, which will be looking at the new season just before it airs, where unfortunately I might have to be a little bit quiet on what I expect to happen in the season because I already know. But I will be giving us some teasers, and then the week after that, it will be full on Lucifer spoiler discussion and getting your thoughts and feelings, and then I can finally talk about what I have seen, especially the scene where Lucifer marries Maze. It's amazing. It is the wedding of the season. It just comes out of nowhere and they murder Chloe and she doesn't come back. So yeah, it's a really good wedding.
Sounds like the Red Wedding to Game of Thrones.
It is. They've just copied the Red Wedding. They're currently in a lawsuit
Makes
with
sense.
Game of Thrones. But no, don't worry. I'm just kidding. None of that is real.
Or
But
is he?
talking about Lucifer, just in case you are interested, last week I had an interview with the executive producers, Joe and Ildy, where we did talk about the season. Nothing majorly spoilery, but it's worth checking out. It's a really fun discussion with them both, and hopefully I'll be speaking to them again very soon, maybe about what we've actually seen on 5B. I'll drop my email and see what I can sort. But let's focus on today's news. And today's been a really interesting one because what came out today, John?
The Venom and Carnage. I had to build
I
up a
thought
bit
you
of
forgot for a second there.
No, I just wanted to build
Was
up a
that
bit of
build
suspense.
anticipation? Yeah.
That was terrible,
So
wasn't
what
it?
did you think of the trailer?
See, here we go. This is the pitchfork's going to come straight out. I wasn't really. So I was very much the same as I was the first one. I didn't get excited. I didn't get like let down. I was just like, yeah, that looks like it'll be interesting. Sort of like, I've not been to the cinema in ages, so I've got a reason to go to the cinema now. Sort of feeling. But nothing that really pulls out. I mean, the CGI looks good, but yeah, I don't know. What about yourself?
I think I'm the same. It was very kind of blah. I think they needed the bring in Carnage, the salvage, the franchise. They needed that kind of excitement and big name that they obviously can't have Spider-Man in. There's obviously rumours that there might be a Spider-Man reference of some sort, the link in the universes, but let's be fair, they were never going to have Spider-Man in it fully. So Carnage was definitely the biggest name link to Venom that they could put into it. I honestly don't like Tom Hardy in this. His character just seems a bit meh. And I know he's meant to have that kind of dry sort of humour, and I love Tom Hardy, don't get me wrong, I love him in many things. I even liked him as Bane. But I don't know what it is with Venom. I just didn't enjoy the first film. I'm obviously going to watch this one. I'm not going to lie. It's a film that, because I love Spider-Man and I love Venom, God, even my badge at work even has a little Venom on it, I'm just not sold on the franchise, the series yet. But CGI-wise, it's already looking good. And if you think that they're still probably doing finishing touches, what did you think of Woody Harrelson as Carnage. First impressions.
I think out of the two actors, Woody Harrelson definitely suits Carnage. He's
Mm.
not all right in the head. He plays a pretty great, crazy sort of, well, giving off crazy sort of vibe. I agree with you with Tom Hardy in terms of the way they're having Tom Hardy play Venom in this series. Very much is the Sony's equivalent of Deadpool. If I have to sort of like draw a comparison, it's Sony's Deadpool. It's hugely violent, but it also has that comedic undertone. Not exactly like Deadpool, where it's more comedic than it's meant to be violent, but it's sort of their equivalent. I do think Tom Hardy would have suited a more villain type role or a bit more darker as opposed to this light sort of like quirky anti-hero type thing.
Mm.
He would have certainly played better off against the Spider-Man. And we're talking multiverses here. I don't know why they don't like bring back like for example Andrew Garfield, which would tie perfectly with the tone of the film, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um, it is another universe. There is the obviously. Are we talking about the spoilers of the trailer? What's in it?
Yeah, just talk about. At the end of the day, it's a trailer. It's been released. I don't think it's that big a deal. But yeah, go for it.
The newspaper, the Daily Bugle, straight on the front. Woody Harrelson's face looks to be on the front of it. So Carnage. So Eddie Brock works at the Daily Bugle, I imagine,
Mm.
because of course he interviews Woody Harrelson at the end of it. And by the sounds of the
Wasn't
trailer,
Eddie a freelancer journalist anyway, where he kind of sold his
yeah,
stories to the paper? So it could be that, and it's just a nice little way because the Bugle is set in New York, and I think the first Venom I want to say was San Francisco,
I
so
believe so. Yeah,
total opposite end. So I think he might have just sold his story to the Bugle rather than being based in New York. I could be wrong; they could base it in New York, but for me, I think it's Brock has just sold his story to the Daily Bugle.
yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be. This could be something that leads up to the third one. We don't know, but I think it was a nice touch there. I think a little
There
bit too
was a
late for me.
little Easter egg that could be very spoilerish, so if you don't want to hear this, skip for 2 minutes. But in the paper, it has been spotted the word Avengers, Losers, and Nightmare, which is
Yep.
rumoured to be the baddie in the new Doctor Strange, where he is visiting multiple universes, which could help tie in Venom and Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange is meant to be in the new Spider-Man as well. So that could be a future hint because the film comes out later on in the year, and Venom was meant to be coming out around the same time as Doctor Strange originally. So could that be a future hint?
Potentially. I mean, the Disney and Sony have had this like arrangement now with Disney Plus, for example, where they're allowing certain films to be streamed on there now.
Mm.
There could be a further extension in terms of their agreement behind the scenes that we don't know about. I mean, Disney pulling out something would be quite exciting at the moment, considering the other side of the water we'll not talk about. So yeah, it would be seizing the opportunity while it's available, that everybody's on the hype of, we've got Phase 4 now on the way. What's exciting to come, and then just drop this bomb. Actually, Venom and Tom Holland may potentially be in the same universe at some point or crossover. So yeah, I mean that's a good theory right there. And then, um,
But
well,
see how it goes. But at the minute, Venom is not on my not gonna watch. It's not on my I must see it straight away. It's going to be if I get a chance, I'll go see it. I didn't see Venom at the cinema. I ended up waiting until it came out on DVD. I'm gonna be totally honest, and
I
I
went.
may do the same.
I went, but I went with I had no expectations. I went because it was a Friday evening and I had a couple of beers and I was like, you know what, let's go watch Venom. So me and my buddy went and watched Venom, and yeah, I went in and I had no expectations. I was like, yeah, let's go watch it. It came out and it was like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it could have been better. And I feel like this is probably going to be the same. It's going to do enough to make an increase. It's going to profit from the film being released. Tom Hardy's a big name, so again, that'll probably profit there. But for me personally, I'd probably fall probably about 6 out of 10, I reckon.
I can honestly see this being the killing off of the Venom franchise, but I could be totally wrong. It could be an amazing film. Andy Serkis is directing. You may recognize that name because he has played many, many characters as CGI. For example, like Gollum's probably the biggest one in regards to knowing who he is. So it'll be very interesting to see what he brings. I think visually, and from what I've seen from the style and humour, I prefer this trailer to the original Venom. I think the humour was spot on, but again, who knows? We'll move on from it. But yeah, Venom so far, not too excited. But also, big news, and this is kind of linked to gaming, but also links into TV and movies, because this franchise is a huge franchise in all three, and that is Resident Evil 8 came out last week on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and it's been seen as a big hit. Visually, the game is stunning, and I mean absolutely stunning for what the file size, like if you look at the way it looks, like at the opening of the game, it's inside a house and it looks like you are inside the house. The graphics are phenomenal for the file size as well. The RE engine, which believe it or not does not stand for Resident Evil engine, which surprised me, but the RE engine is absolutely stunning, especially on PlayStation 5. Really impressed with that. And the storyline is a bit here and there. There could have been a bit more kind of character development, and I know a lot of people have been complaining that, well, the game's only about 7-8 hours long, but if you've played Resident Evil in the past, you can complete some of those games in 2.5 hours if you're fast. So 8 hours for a Resident Evil game is not that big of a deal if you know the series, and for what you're getting in the challenge and the playability afterwards. But overall, I think it's a really good game. Really impressed with it. John, I know you haven't played it, but you've seen bits of the game. What are your thoughts on Resident Evil 8 and, of course, the big vampy lady?
I'll be honest with you. I enjoy and like the look of this than the last one. The last one we got great reviews, and again, it was like 6 or 7 hours, I think it was. Someone completed it in a record time of like 7.5 hours, I think, or 6.5 hours. One of the two, anyway.
It was fast.
But this is more interesting than the last one for me. The last one, I played the last one. I enjoyed it, but I felt it was missing something. Whereas this, straight from the trailer when watching the early trailers that are coming out, it gave enough for me wanting to know more. And I think the characters that Ethan faces are really interesting. And one of my favorite characters also appears in there, which is, are we doing spoilers? I thought, figure.
Are you talking about Chris Redfield?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, he's in the trailer. He's on the
of course, yeah, he is,
well,
isn't he? Yeah,
so
of course,
it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yes, we know Chris is in from the start, so we can talk about Chris Redfield. It is a big plot point in the trailers as well. And even the special edition, it's not even an Ethan statue, it's a Chris Redfield statue, because I don't think we've ever seen Ethan's face before.
Yeah, no, it's I just remember now it's Chris Redfield wears the big black coat sort of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I was really excited as soon as I saw Chris Redfield being announced as well, sort of being a main pivotal character, because Chris has been since the start of the franchise back in Resident Evil 1. So watching him grow as a character and taking a different way, but still sort of maybe misleading in some ways. But yeah, no, it's certainly exciting. I enjoy the lore as well to a degree. That's the one thing that pulls me in these games, is the lore. Whereas the trailer from the last one, it just felt like it was a complete like a reboot, like something completely separate. Whereas this one, you actually get the feel.
They did that on purpose because of, and I'll talk about the end of Resident Evil 7. The big twist at the end of Resident Evil 7 was the introduction of Chris Redfield to say, actually, this does tie into the Resident Evil universe. They did it as a separate thing to kind of draw new audiences, but then hooked everyone back in. And I think the only criticism I've got for Resident Evil 8 is they had some amazing characters like Lady Dimitrescu, or however you say her name. Let's just call her Tall Vamp Lady. That's what everyone calls her.
Yeah.
You had these really interesting characters, and you maybe only get 2-3 hours of time with them, and there could have been a lot more developed. There could have been a lot more backstory for this. This game had a lot more story potential that could have went across maybe a few games that they've kind of wrapped up very quickly in one game. Now, that's kind of my only criticism of that. It's a very typical first-person horror, very similar in that sense to Resident Evil 7, just a different setting, but overall, very impressive game. Very impressive game.
Visually, it's beautiful. I
Mm.
think they've really hit the nail on the head on the graphics here. There's a lot of the times when I was watching the clips, they just because I've been watching some of the playthroughs, just seeing the graphics, it was like they've captured almost like one of the scenes. I actually thought it was a human actor as opposed to
Mm.
CGI computer generated. It was incredible. Honestly, just I think it really knocked it out of the park, and this is just one way to get the fans excited since I think the last Resident Evil that I actually played properly on multiple occasions with Resident Evil 6, and I didn't enjoy it that much. I only did it for the different stories, whereas this one, like 7, was obviously taking it in the franchise in a new way. This one seems to just elevate that completely onto a new level.
Mm. I think Capcom have really done very well in the past 3 games of Resident Evil. You've got Resident Evil 2 Remake, you've got Resident Evil 3 Remake, and then you've had 8 that's just come out, totally different style. They've really, I think my Resident Evil 2 Remake thing's just behind me there. But I've been really, really impressed. I think Capcom have done a very good job, and they just need to kind of keep that going. And already people are saying, what's next? Are we going to get a remake again of maybe Resident Evil 4? I know they're releasing Resident Evil 4 in VR, which will be very interesting, and I can't wait to check that out. So I love Resident Evil 4, but the one that I am desperate for a remake is Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Yes.
Love that on the Dreamcast. If you're on the video, you can see my Dreamcast, my pride and joy right there. Was absolutely amazing. Loved Code Veronica. It had an absolutely brilliant story, and I'd love to see that being remade and retold because I don't think enough people played Code Veronica for the amazing game that it was.
Fun fact of Code Veronica was my first Resident Evil game before I played 1 and 2. I That was my introduction to the entire franchise was via Code Veronica, and then I
Oh,
went
I
back
wish
and
I
played.
could say the same because I actually bought the original Resident Evil on the PlayStation. Yeah, I am really starting to show my age.
It, ain't I was alive when the first Resident Evil came out. I was born
Oh, well,
well
that
well
counts.
there.
You are alive, but
Yeah,
you
I
weren't
was
old enough to
alive.
buy it.
I couldn't legally buy it, no. But no, Code Veronica, I bought obviously a few years later, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to these, and the lore is incredible.
Hmm. And Resident Evil 4 is brilliant. I've got the GameCube version. My GameCube, I think, is slightly off screen there, but my GameCube is, I think, actually hidden behind me here. This is how sad I am. I like to keep things hidden, but there you go. There's the GameCube where I've got Resident Evil 4 down there. And I've got the PlayStation 2 up there, so some of the other Resident Evils as well. So I've got pretty much all the Resident Evil games. I just didn't play 6 or 7 because I heard very bad things. Not 7, sorry, 5 and 6 because I heard very bad things, but then they brought it back for 7. But I think that's enough for Resident Evil because I know John's been itching to talk about this next part. And I am going to ask this as a question. Is Invincible, the Amazon Prime animated adult 18 plus superhero TV show, the best superhero based TV show we've had in the past few years? That is the question I'm asking you, John. What are your thoughts on it overall?
I would say, so I went and read the comic straight after watching this series, and I'm not all the way through it. It's a thick thing. I went to Forbidden Planet. There was one in Middlesbrough with it, and I've got to
Am I
say,
right in thinking there's about 144, like, not episodes, but like volumes of the comic, and we've only
oh
covered the first 17 or something like
yeah,
that
there's
in
a
the first
lot.
season?
There's incredible amounts. There is sections that they do glance over in the animation, but it's it's barely noticeable. Honestly, I've got to. It annoys me how underrated this series has been. So there hasn't been much coverage. A lot of people have been talking about Winter Soldier and the Falcon, which has, as we've previously discussed, is a snooze fest in some manner. This was really exciting. This had me at the end of every episode. I wanted to see more. I wanted more. I wanted them to just drop the whole series like they did with Boys. I would have binged it literally in a day. It was that
Hmm.
enjoyable. The first episode, you think, oh, okay, this is, it just doesn't seem like a lot. Yeah, it's got a bit of violence, but as soon as the ending hit, boom, that last scene was
The
incredible.
ending just cooked you in to the point of, where's episode 2? I
It,
need to watch it now. Because I'm going to be honest, I was kind of on the fence of, oh, well, I saw the trailer for it and I thought, this looks cool. I'll get round to watching it whenever. I watched the first episode on a Sunday morning. I was up quite early, so just chilling on the sofa watching it, and I was like, all right, this is okay, it's a superhero film. But those last 5 minutes, I sat on the sofa going, wow, right, this is good, this is different, this is not willing, not scared to get your attention and take risks. And then I found out it was actually
Honestly.
based on comics that already exist, which is fine. But wow, was my first instinct from watching this.
I sort of had the same thing because I knew Invincible existed out there as a comic book, and it was always reminded me of like the amalgamation comics that exist out there. They were like play on different characters that existed in the universe, like Superman, Batman, and all of that lot. So I never really I was never gripped by these alternative versions. And I saw it and I was like, I'm bored. I think I finished on a Friday evening one night, and I was like, 3 episodes of Invincibles. You know what? I'll chuck one on while I'm cooking. And I was like, yeah, this is fine, this pacing. And then I was literally stopped. I almost burnt my chicken from watching those 5 minutes, just like blood, gore, everything, fists going through bodies, everything. Honestly, it was just. And then you think, okay, that's quite a lot to top there. And then they just slap it in, and they're not afraid to absolutely brutalize the main character. Like they are literally saying, like Mark, Invincible is. He isn't invincible by any means. It's very misleading, the title. It is very believable. This is a young kid trying to live up to a stature of heroics there in the ideology he carries with it as well. But also, again, like he has a sort of a Peter Parkerish feel as well, which resonates with which I would think in a sort of a teenage, younger, not too young, but old enough to watch it, of course, audience. My only letdown and my only upset is the boys had so much marketing. It had absolute mass amounts of marketing from Amazon, and I know why, because obviously they had to, because they spent a bigger budget on it.
Yeah.
But for me, the boys, I enjoyed the boys, don't get me wrong, but this was just on another level for an
I think
animation.
with it being animation, it helps them to do that as well. Because budget-wise, they don't have to worry about special effects budget. They just draw
Of
it
course,
the way
yeah.
they want. But I've got to say, that's my new thing at the minute. I just seem to say quite a lot. I've got back into that habit. I don't know why. If you ever want to have a drinking game, watch the interview with Lucifer. Honestly, I say quite a bit. If you've ever seen How I Met Your Mother, I've turned in Robert Shabowski. Yeah. I've just realised she has a episode.
Oh, yeah.
But what was I going to say? See, I've just went what am I going to say? I've totally forgot my point. Yes, no, that was it. What I absolutely love about this show, and usually I'm not a fan of TV shows that have a lot of gore in. Not that I'm scared of gore, it's just I find a lot of shows and films put gore in for that, ooh, we're putting it in to be edgy.
Yeah, glorifying
this
it.
Is actually a storyline where the gore is justified and needed, because if you're getting thrown through buildings or superheroes are punching you, it's not like get a little mark, a tap on your face from being punched. You are seeing what physically would happen, especially with like superhuman people being bad guys. You are seeing what would happen, and that's where the gore comes from. And I know we're saying gore, it's more kind of blood, if anything else, not like over the top ripping people apart all the time. It's like
Are you sure?
well, at times, but what I'm saying is it's more justified.
Yeah.
It's, even though it's a cartoon, it's more realistic of what you'd actually expect to happen in those situations. And and the key thing is for me, the characters are relatable. It tells an amazing story, where to the point you spend all of the season hoping who you think the bad guy is not the bad guy. Which says a lot, because not very often, after the end of the first episode, I don't want to reveal too much if you haven't seen it, but a character does something and you're just like, oh, well, no, I don't want that to be true. You want there to be a reason, and that builds through the season, and you still kind of want there to be an actual reason for it all happening, which is great, because that means you're invested in the characters, and that's what, for me, made this stand out. The characters are interesting, the story is interesting, and it just hooks you. It really does.
Got to admit, like, the voice cast was on point. It's usually when you get a voice cast, there's always that one or two that sticks out. You're thinking that voice just doesn't match that character. The voice cast was incredible. Can we just? J.K. Simmons was incredible. Is it Stephen? Is Stephen Young, isn't it, who does voice of
Yes, from The
Mark?
Walking Dead, because it's
Yeah,
oh, what's his name? It's
the
gonna
guy gets his eye.
escape me now.
Glenn.
No, it's the guy. Robert Kirkman was also involved in development of The
Yeah,
Walking
yeah.
Dead.
He wrote the. Didn't he? Wasn't he one of the writers of the series in the comics? I feel like.
Uh, yes, yeah.
I feel like
So
it. Yeah.
he's the comic book writer for The Walking Dead. So it has a very Walking Dead sort of vibe to it all, but
Yeah.
I'd say even better. But the voice cast for this is amazing.
It's amazing how many are involved as well, isn't it?
Well, you've got Gillian Jacobs from Community, one of my favourite shows.
Yep.
J.K. Simmons is Omni-Man. Stephen Young is Invincible. Mark Hamill makes an appearance in it.
Yep.
Seth Rogen. Zazie Beetz from Deadpool. Sandra Oh from Killing Eve. Jason Mazzuccas is Rex from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. One of my favourite comedy actors at the minute. There's just so many. Zachary Quinto.
I can't remember his name now. He has an afro in real life. What's his name now? Oh, he does the voice of the. He does the character of the. He flicks the coin and it blows up, sort of thing. Oh, the really annoying one.
Yeah, that's Jason Mantzoukas, Rexplode.
That's
he's
it.
from
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah. No, he's brilliant. He's also in Big Mouth, and I love his voice in that. It's just if you see Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's not Jacob Roll. It's like Fermento. That's it, or something along those lines. Yeah, so he is absolutely brilliant in it. He's not used much this season in it, but he kills it in the scenes he is. But the voice cast is absolutely phenomenal for Invincible. I think Amazon are onto a real hit, and I think they've realised it because they just announced season 2 and season 3 are in development now.
Do you know what? I would going back to sort of the tasteful gore and stuff. Like, you remember watching sort of the Mortal Kombat, where they have the slow down, the break it down, and then it's just like they come back and they're all fine. Whereas this actually shows you the break and the actual consequences of being punched by someone like Superman level or, really strong Aquaman level. Like, it leaves a lasting scar. I think that's what stuck with me, was Mark's character, when he gets injured, it sticks with him. And he has almost like this hesitation, or he learns from the particular mistake. I think that was what I really liked about the writing of this, was that the characters had conflict, but they also had they learnt realistically. It wasn't just like, you get most like the Flash series where it's like moral of the episode is this. It was like that he learnt, he carries over, and each character did that. And I'm still blown away. And the finale was nearly a week and a half ago.
Yeah, the finale is just non-stop what is going to happen. But if you haven't seen Invincible, go check it out. It is well worth it. It's on Amazon Prime. And yeah, I don't think we can say much more than that. I don't want to talk too spoilery because I feel like not enough people are watching this and I don't want to ruin it in the podcast. But if you like comic books and you're over 18, please check it out. I feel like this is the recommendations podcast. Venom, nah. Resident Evil 8, go play it. Invincible, go watch it. And I think that's probably a good place to end this podcast because we're only going to do a little short one. But yeah, Invincible, go check it out. Resident Evil 8, play it if you can. And Venom trailer, who knows? But yeah, I think we'll call it quits there, John. As always, John, if people want to talk to you more about all of this, if they want to talk about Invincible, because I know you're itching to talk about more about it, where can they find you?
If you want to talk to Invincible to me or just any general comic stuff, it's always Multiverse Geek Man.
Awesome. And you can find me as CJ the Geek, or of course, if you want all the latest news and everything like that, it's of course SpoilerTV, and go visit the website as well for the latest news. This was just a very quick podcast, just because we haven't done one in a week or so and we missed doing it. But we will be back on Sunday talking more news of the week. Hopefully we'll have a bit more news. It's been very quiet the past 2 weeks in regard to TV movie news. But yeah, we'll be back soon and we'll see you then. Thanks for watching our video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget you can subscribe to Spoiler TV just using the little Spoiler TV button, or check out some of the latest articles and recommended videos from our channel as well. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you again soon.